said, listen, I said, the problem that sellers have right now is that they are going into an account, and this is everywhere, this is any sales, and they're taking that no and they're instantly moving on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we live in an instant gratification society right now. And they want that yes, they want that warm call, but what they need to realize is that no is the beginning of the conversation. And what you do past that no to set yourself apart is going to get you that sale. But how do you train that, right?
It's
how
that finite mindset. It is. It's that, I mean, we were just talking about infinite mindset. It's that finite mindset to say, customer says no to the immediate request, and then they'll go back to their manager or whoever, and they'll just say, oh, this customer won't engage. I need my quota reduced or whatever. And it's like, the reality is, like, how hard did you really try? Did you meet them with the right message? Do you know anything about their business? Like, are you showing up different than the 1,000 other salespeople calling on the same person? Did you diversify your approach? Like, did you, instead of just reaching out to one person or going with the old tried and true relationships that your organization has stumbled on before? I love that too. Like, are you diversifying your approach? Are you reaching out to everybody? Like, I try to create a groundswell in an organization. I'll go out and I'll try to create, I mean, my best deal ever, I went out and created 250 plus relationships in that organization. And, you kind of overwhelm it. You become the obvious choice. You put yourself in a position to win. You hedge your bets, control your odds. I mean, all those things. I think that's what people won't do. Drives me nuts.
How do you train that?
You show the value of it, but there's an element of it that's hard work and hustle. And that's the key. Like, will other sellers keep up with that approach? And that's something I struggle with sometimes as a leader. My approach, I know, is very different than a lot of folks from a sales perspective. And I'm not saying that their approaches are wrong. Like, other people's approaches aren't necessarily wrong, but I think there are ways that we can increase the effectiveness by thinking about the probability and going out and creating more relationships, getting everybody in the boat with us. Like, I'd love to have the biggest pipeline of all, because I know statistically I'm going to close. And if I've got the largest pipeline, I'm going to close more deals than everybody else. And that's how I've always kind of built my brand and my portfolio. But as a leader, that's hard because not everybody sees it the same way. And so not everybody can just magically follow the top performers.
It's funny, too, you talked about your pipeline, and I think what you kind of talked about before was your internal pipeline. I think that's something that's overlooked, too. Like, what's your internal pipeline at that prospect look like? Are you connecting with, in my case, are you connecting with the dishwasher? Are you connecting with the prep cook? Are you connecting with the hostess? Are you connecting with the waiters? Are you asking the bartenders questions? Like, there's an internal pipeline as well. Whether we know it or not, those people are all influencers.
Sure.
The last thing a manager at a restaurant wants is their kitchen manager, their prep cook, their dishwasher complaining about something minuscule. They just don't want to hear it anymore.
I mean, how valuable is knowledge and information? So, for you as the seller to know it, for them to know it by proxy through you, because let's face it, not every business owner or leader is polling their team regularly or staying at the pulse of everything that's going on. There may be some valuable intel that you glean from these conversations that you can translate to the business owners that you're trying to forge a relationship with. And that's how you become a trusted advisor. I've had sellers that I know or that I've managed that, they get that feedback from their customer. That's the best value of all, is like, hey, you know more about what's going on in this organization than a lot of people here. And that's of real value. And when you can earn your right to become that trusted advisor, that's when the deals just magically start happening as a result of relationships. That's what a lot of sellers don't get. Like, to your earlier point, Matt, it's like, people reach out, they hear no, they move on. I got to gravitate towards somebody that's just going to talk to me. And that's where we sell ourselves short, because if we don't go out strategically and really truly penetrate the account, show up with unique value, earn that trusted advisor spot, then how can you say you went down swinging?
Such a good point, man. It's such a good point. I don't know. And like I said, everything has changed. Like, so I tell a lot of these sales reps, just because a customer didn't talk to you 2 years ago, pre-pandemic, Like everything has changed now. People are looking for those insights. People are looking for that knowledge. And maybe you start with that knowledge at the lower level. Maybe you're talking to the bartender and today you're telling this bartender, hey, listen, or be mindful about your, again, Carson, this is so dumb, but like be mindful about your orange juice because orange juice is in short supply right now. If that bartender is able to look like a hero to his boss by letting his boss know that orange juice is in short supply, where'd you get that information from? Oh, that Sysco guy that always comes in there, he told me that. That's just a small piece of what could start something so special.
Right. You're putting seeds out there. I mean, you don't know what's going to sprout. That's why, like, I've always done these newsletters and I've built a community around what we do. And I've done these free technical briefings and webinars with customers. And especially in the pandemic, everybody was remote anyway. So we're doing these massive events and inviting hundreds, thousands of people to these and getting hundreds of attendees. And the ability to start a dialogue with somebody that like my company has never talked to before, but there's some curiosity obviously from this customer. That's powerful. And that's how you start new conversations, how you start new relationships, how you start new projects. That begets relationships, that begets pipeline, and then ultimately that begets deals. All the sales cycles are different, but like what you just said, Matt, I mean, you're planting seeds and you don't know what's going to transpire, but that doesn't keep you from planting them all the time.
Well, it's funny. I put a post out on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, and somebody had responded back saying that there's no point to saying anything on LinkedIn. You're not going to get customers, and it's funny because there's a gentleman that I went to high school with, who's a CEO of a company here in St. Louis that's going to be doing marijuana and dispensary. It's a hot thing right now.
Yeah.
And him and I have probably talked a handful of times in the last 20 years through high school. He sent me a LinkedIn message 2 days ago and says, Sysco will be my partner in this project.
There you go.
I mean, I didn't do anything.
No, you're just there.
I was there. I was putting things out on LinkedIn.
Why would we want to discriminate against a place we could be where we would get the relationship that leads to business? That's my question. So when people tell me like, oh, LinkedIn doesn't work, or I don't have the time to do what you're doing on LinkedIn, people think I live on LinkedIn. I probably am on there 5 minutes a day.
Right.
You go in the morning and you check, your notifications, you respond, you react, you go in, see what your customers are posting. Maybe you engage with them. You show up differently than everybody else. Like, I mean, it's so easy to go out and follow your customers. And, frankly, when I do that, I can see if there's a change in executives, if there's a compelling event that would cause me to reach out and do something different. I've had multi-million-dollar deals as a result of being timely, reaching out at the time that there was an executive change and getting in their office first and best. There's also scenarios where you can see intel, you can see what their executives are sharing on LinkedIn, and you can engage. Don't just read it, like comment. You ever look at a post and you'll see like a ton of likes, but you see very few comments. If you comment and you tag the person who posted, you're like the 1%, because very few people will both comment and tag the person who posted it. And then say something insightful. Even if it's, even if you don't know exactly what you're saying, like, just to even have a takeaway. I see the CEO of one of our largest companies makes a post about how important sustainability is in their organization. Like, hey, this is great. Like, this is something that we're very focused on right now, too, in my company. You never know what's going to happen. It's a seed. But don't discriminate against a platform that could create a relationship, create a dialogue. You never know when that is going to benefit you. And I always tell people with branding, like, go out, think about all the areas of branding that you're comfortable with. Like, maybe not everybody's comfortable going on video right out of the gate. I wasn't years ago, but now here we are. Same thing with blogging, same thing with doing some of these different platforms. Some people use Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and TikTok. And I admit, I don't know everything about all of those things, but go out and learn them, stand out, be unique. That's what gets you noticed, gets you relationships. Yeah, I was just sharing with you, like, I've just started, like, hey, we've got this kind of podcast dialogue thing going on. Why not start to engage thought leaders within some of the customers that I support? Just seemed like a no-brainer to me. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are executives in these organizations that have a very unique approach. I can learn from them. Plus, it forms a new relationship that maybe I didn't have already. So isn't that what we're after?